You guys see this right here? This is your biosphere. You see the wheels within the wheels. Every single human being has this. It's also called your aura. It's the unseen world. It's the reason why you know that people are walking up on you, but you can't see them. Like when you have something wake you up because it's next to you, it's because you have a biosphere. And it is, I guess you can consider it a body part. It is part of you. It is you. Now, this is what is hacked. They've hacked this. And I think that the rapture has to happen so that they can't take this completely. I think that's what Revelation chapter 12 is talking about when it talks about the dragon is ready to devour the man-child, the Christians. It's your aura, it's your spirit that God is concerned about. Not so much your sinful flesh, but it's the eternal things. This is the part of a person that never dies. This is the godly part of you. And this is how your spirituality is connected with heaven, so to speak. You get information, you download information. You have to think of it as the terms of what they have around us. Wi-Fi, cell phones, and cell towers, fiber optics. It's the actual tower, and the fiber optics is just the material part. And there is also a material part, but it is cyber, or we can call it spiritual, that is actually being processed through this. Just like your physical body, well, you have a cyber physical body, I guess you could say, just like a cell tower, just like a fiber optic. As above, so below, right? You have fiber optics below us, cell towers above us, even satellites. This is the entire Dragon system. They can hack you. Your information is held in this biofield that we all are in. I know this is new information, but this is how they hack people. You have your spirit, and it is extended like a body part outside of you that we don't see. It's cyber flesh or cyber material, not flesh, maybe flesh, but it's your heavenly aura, your heavenly existence. It's the eternal part of you. So when they talk about cyber hacking and all this stuff and talking about putting chips in the body and all this, that's only the hardwire stuff. That's the stuff you see. It's the stuff you don't see that has already been happening for years. That they have been tapping into people, giving them thoughts, reading their thoughts, manipulating them. All of these things that we think are coming are already here. And we can't see any of it. Your biosphere, just like the flat earth, it has the same type of biosphere, and it's the tree of life. And even in the old other pagan religions, they had the same flat earth model, and they called it the tree of life. Goes up through the middle, and it extends out, like a tree, right? Like the tops of a tree. And then you would have like the root or the basin go down through the middle, right? This is also in your eyes. It's the wheels within the wheels that I filmed above us. The stars, we call them stars, but there's wheels and there's wheels, and then there's a living creature in the middle of the wheel, just like your eyeballs. You have a wheel, and then you are the living creature behind that wheel or inside that wheel. And this is exactly what Ezekiel chapter 1 is talking about, the wheels within the wheels. There's multiple layers to these things. Again, like I said, I've shown this before too from the movie Contact, when they get information from, they call it outer space, but we know there's a firmament. But either way, they get information from other beings and they build this machine with that information. And as you can see, it's the wheels within the wheels. And then you have like the circle around the edge, representing possibly the flat earth. And you're dropped through the middle of it in a ball, just like your aura. So it's the stars above, the wheels within the wheels, and you're in this ball. And it's also like your aura. the biosphere. It's all one. Everything is a macrocosm of what is smaller, the microcosm. And then that post there that you see on the top is actually, when you zoom in and look at it closer, it looks like a guy on a cross. You can see it from here. It looks like Jesus on the cross. So, this is this is the heavenly technology that the Book of Enoch says that man got from angels. And I believe that heaven is a very scientific place. Everything takes science, knowledge, and understanding. Now, to take it even one step further, in this picture, you see our biosphere, but then you see the 7 chakra points. Notice the number 7. And the first thing that we've been trained to think is this is New Age, and so on and so forth. But what people have to realize is that all this stuff is real, but the adversary has taken it and twisted it. And also, the adversary runs mainstream religion, so they teach you to be afraid of these things, to run from these things and not understand these things. Like when you hear the number 666, you're taught to be afraid of it, when really it's in the Bible and it's the number of a man, and God says to calculate the number. So God doesn't tell you to run and be afraid of these things. In fact, God wants you to understand what's going on here. So getting back to the 7 chakras, this has to do with the Kundalini snake crawling up the 7 chakras. Is there a snake in your body? No, but it's a cyber physical snake, just like your biosphere. It's part of you, and there's a cyber physical serpent, just like the serpent in the Garden of Eden. Okay, there's an outer meaning and then an inner meaning and multiple layers. So the kingdom of God is within you. Jesus was trying to tell us these spiritual things. And he said the kingdom of God is within you. So the serpent, these things like the Kundalini serpent within you, and then the Garden of Eden within you. You are the Garden of Eden, right? That's why you're considered a tree. Jesus said you'll know a tree by its fruits. And then that's connected to the tree of life, which is, the aura around the earth, so to speak, or the firmament. It's all one, but it's macrocosm and it's microcosm. So when Jesus came, he said, I give you the power to tread on serpents. So people don't understand the spiritual aspect of that. Isn't there a Kundalini serpent that goes up your chakras? So he gave you power over this serpent. So many Christians are carnal. And this has been trained to Christians, is to be carnal, because the adversary, men who hide the truth in unrighteousness, they have trained people to be like that, because knowledge is power. Now, this is what the Bible is. Like I've said, the physical stories in the Bible represent something spiritual and unseen. And I always go back to Jacob wrestling with the angel of the Lord. Jacob is flesh and blood. The angel of the Lord is spirit. And then in Ephesians 6:12, in the New Testament spiritual understanding, it says we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So you see that picture in the physical playing out with Jacob and the angel of the Lord, showing us wrestling with spiritual principalities and powers. And to take it even one step further, the place where they wrestled at was named pineal. Well, in the middle of your brain, you have something called the pineal gland, which is connected to the spiritual. So, this is all what the Bible. This is what the Bible is. It's crazy deep, and the way that God did it is, it's really, it's unheard of. It's unbelievable. But this is what it is. Just like Adam. We're made up of atoms. Well, what did he name the first man? Adam. And we come from Adam. So we're made up of atoms. We come from the first Adam. It's all connected. Now I'm going to show you a few clips from a woman talking about this in great detail as to what the biosphere is and what they are actually hacking. Again, remember, that man is mimicking God's ways. So when we see a cyber attack or a cyber hack in real time play out, like with money and stuff like this, it's also happening with people and their biosphere, just like the example that I showed you how God does it. He has a story play out in real time, and there's also a spiritual meaning to that story, a deeper meaning. Well, Lucifer said, I'll be like the Most High, and the men following Lucifer are mimicking God's patterns, but in a little different way. So again, when you see a cyber hack attack, well, it's actually on people too.
So tell me how your phone works. When you click a button and you send an email, you don't see the email leave the phone. It's a wireless, invisible signal, just like your body. It's a body part. So when I worked at UW Whitewater for my job, I found IBM software that they alleged was also used way back when Fauci and them wanted to get their shit off the ground for attacking the human immune system. Well, if you don't know that the human immune system is 80% your biofield, you called it the aura, you called it stupid. Yeah, I know. That's because 6,000 years of human telemetry, chiropractic, and the rest of it for your circulatory system just magically disappeared. Nobody has any idea what's going on. That was 6,000 years of the human circulatory system. You call it chakras. Yeah, they call it aim and fire. 150 years ago, Aleister Crowley and people, yeah, nothing's real except what you can see. There is no biofield. There's no cymatics, there's no radionics, there's no plasmonics. There's nothing except what you can see. Well, that's a body part that's responsible for 80% of our immune system. How do we know for sure? The definition at Children's Hospital, the organs and tissues that comprise the immune system, the thymus, the bone marrow, the lymphatic, your vessels, your spleen, and your skin. And so I'm like, yeah, the human biofield being watched by Project Salus. So the human biofield is the aura, is your W band, 802.15.6. Department of Defense Directive 3000.09, everything is autonomous. And you have an MQ-9 Reaper drone attached to your skin and bone. That's a big bird for those of you that know. She's huge. And so for me, I'm like, why in the hell do we need something that big? Well, for those of you in radio frequency, yet again, that don't understand that we're playing around with the particulate in the atmosphere and perturbating the human biofield with the Doppler. Okay? And we're not talking about any of that. We're not talking about geoengineering and weather control, and all these systems work together. When I log into your body, I'm looking at multiple manifolds, torus manifolds, and then I'm using mathematics to log into your cell structure with something called biophysics. Opto-array, electronic, photonic, moving your cells around with pressure, temperature, and physics, physical, biophysics change. Not, oh gee, I'm waving my magic wand. No, I'm logging into your body with radio frequency directly. This is how AI precision healthcare is offered. And I'm going to show you the bigger sign here in a minute. Step 1. Since 2005, any little nerd who could code in Zigbee and Bluetooth for light switches since 2005 is working with these biosensors, K-hop nearest neighbor routing, dynamic channel allocation, thermodynamic routing, right there. You can go look it up. Open shortest path first, body to body. How did I find it? Cybersecurity for the new digital ID and the 6G low personal area network. Machine to machine, no human can crack it or de-encrypt it or encrypt it. And it's ad hoc, vehicular ad hoc or whatever. And then the body is what sends the signal. Now, the moment that I found this mathematically by the metrics, I had a shit fit because I'm like, how in the hell are you using the human body for that? What are you doing? If you're doing that, you're using the aura. And of course, you can imagine, as a natural telepath, having been electronically tortured lifelong for metrics, I'm like, what the is this? You told me, not y'all, but family, professionals, people, oh, energy work is bullshit, the aura's not real, only believe in what you can see, we're going to fix people's health. Well, I was told I had pseudotumor cerebri. Anybody got an autoimmune disorder out there? You ever wondered why they can't fix it? Okay? Maybe I should get that other sign back here for a second. Where's your immune system? 80% of your immune system is in that field. Am I able to electronically log into you and change out the cellular homeostasis of your electrical cell structure? And anybody who knows anything about biology, do you shit ham sandwiches? When you go eat your lunch, after you're done eating your lunch, do you shit it out in the same format? No. And why is that? Because we're biochemical beings and we have electricity in our cells. Yeah. But if I hit you with the signal and I decouple your ass from your circadian rhythms by using the ratio, the golden ratio, to decouple, uncouple the cellular state. Now, where did I get this from? Tufts University, Dr. Michael Levin. Life extension, synthetic biology, immortality research. It's called regenerative medicine, biomedical tissue engineering, wireless tissue engineering. For that, we have to disassociate your electrical fields, plural. This is called the biofield at the National Institute of Health. In the quantum market share, it's called the quantum field. In morphogenesis, you heard me, synthetic biology, morphogenesis, it's called the morphogenetic field. And why? Because it's still all the same damn thing. Your cells at every level exchanging data in your lymphatic system, your tissues. And now they're hacking into that, changing it so that they can get transhumanism, synthetic biology, life extension. Where the is everyone else? Let me show you. It's not real. Why are they doing that? If they're going to work and they're working on it, why are they telling you it's not real? Well, I'm going to show you. It's very simple. I went ahead because I was so angry, and when I get mad, I do research, and then I force myself to take a breath, go outside with the bow staff if I'm really pissed off, and come back to Zen. Self-control. Make a list. And I'm like, okay, wait. So if I go to work for Command and Control C4ISR, CIPRNet, NIPRNet, back into the NSA, DNA steganography with the NSA, and we watch every synaptic exchange at 5,100 bits and log it with the NSA PRISM program. That's what Assange, Snowden, and all of them were talking about. That's why they killed Barnaby Jack, the ATM jackpotter. He was there at DEF CON to present that it was easier to hack a human body with a pacemaker or otherwise. You didn't need to have a pacemaker than it was a car. Dead. So with that in mind, I'm like, why can't we talk about this? So I went and found where you can talk about it, because even in the machine learning, you're not allowed to write the word biofield, which I found very weird, okay, because nobody reads that stuff. So then I found out that it is the following. Electronic medical police, warfare divisions, military, your Lockheed, Raytheon, all of them. Signal, advanced signals technology. It's everywhere as a job. In information, surveillance, and reconnaissance, the Internet of Behaviors, Bodies, Things, the Industrial Internet of Things, the Medical Body Area Network, all way back, 2005, 2015. It's all there. And I'm like, these are jobs? Oh, yeah. And then neuromodulation, neural stimulation, Project Salus, watching everybody think in real time with CT2WS, cognitive warfare technology, EEG headset, ultrasound, modified ultrasound, all walking around on a headset. Then the Renius chipset embedded in their left hemisphere. And I'm like, where did all of this come from? Synthetic telepathy, been out there since 1995.
Welcome, Professor.
Welcome to Cerebro.
It certainly is a big, round room.
The brainwaves of mutants are different from average human beings. This device amplifies my power, allowing me to locate mutants across great distances. That's how I intend to find Rogue.
Why don't you just use it to find Magneto?
I've been trying, but he seems to have found some way to shield himself from it.
How would he know how to do that?
Because he helped me build it. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Have you ever...
Use Cerebro? No. It takes a degree of control, and for someone like me, it's
dangerous?
So they needed a backbone. Just like back in the day when everybody was logging into email for the first time on dial-up, it would get crowded. People would have to wait forever and get kicked off. I fucking worked it. I would know. So my job was to upgrade them, to bring them out of dial-up and onto cable modems, for which I used a system called NMAPs on COM controllers with something called COM21 cable modems, which were different than the throwaway DOCSIS stuff in the big cities. Different markets, so different hardware, everything, different software. So I went ahead as I continued to make my little T-bar list, and I'm like, so let me get this straight. If I'm in radio frequency, if I'm in IT, I log into the body, make changes, and organize. If I'm anyone else in the world, I'm a nut job. Give me drugs and make me sit still. And the only place you can really learn about the biofield is in the Bible, because Jesus used it to heal. And I mean, it's ions and electrons. It's your exchange with your environment. That's why everybody works with radar. We're told, get your nuts away from it because it'll overheat you and such. It's microwave. And then they also could feel the radar coming and going without looking at the screen. Yes, because you have an electrical body part involved. So then, as if all that wasn't enough, because I couldn't figure out, how is this so obvious to me, but not everyone else? Because I admit the body part. Now, enter in where I come from. I come from Black Projects. So I go back to my grandmother, who was a Rosicrucian in Chicago, has a bunch of depression glass. These are nanolipids. And they would have them stand on a metal plate or whatever. Yeah, and that's your specialized concrete for human teleportation, like you heard out of the mouths of Sean Ryan and other people who he interviewed, the Marines and such, that found the photonic different mixtures of concrete, just like the Roman Colosseum specialized limestone. So this is also another reason why I'm like, oh my God, you guys have been doing this for 100 years plus. Radio frequency, industrial, scientific, and medical band. This is where we got our 2.4 terahertz from. And that's your targeted individuals in Havana syndrome as well. 2 radio frequency syncs, one over the heart, one over the bladder. Illegal as putting RFID chips in people since the 60s. With John von Neumann software and architecture. Why and how? So the first line I ever did, I had to destroy because the Pentagon was so pissed at me. And I said, I know why you've done this, because you did it for wireless tissue engineering, which is what's his name is up there with Palpatine, also known as Klaus Schwab, talking about all the time. Okay? So, your body is 802.15.6. You're a wide body area network. We fly a drone with sensors, open system architecture, and modified open system approach. We can slap any hardware on the ass end of it. We can log into it with a web portal. We fly it over your home. Now, people who think that CERN, ITER, and Tokamak are demon portals are a bit confused. Big magnet under your feet could be the baseboard carrier signal to your cable company or baseline satellite. And we create an electromagnetic field above your head and below your feet. Now, your biofield, your whole body, is inside of 802.15.6. The biosensors are individually accessible with CISA MyTinyOS cybersecurity on 802.15.4. Your wireless sensor networks create radio frequency relays and anything that they need to perturbate cell structure on 802.15.5. And before you say, well, what the hell do they need all that for? Precision artificial intelligence, wireless healthcare. So we break out the internal organs and divide it up, and that's how we're able to make the genetic change if we want to with the CRISPR-Cas9 infusion, which I'll show on a sign here in a moment. Or we can just go ahead and terahertz to gigahertz, gigahertz to terahertz, and exchange out your cell structure. Oh, but they need to practice that. They already did. So what they did was they lied. So first you see a UFO, they radiate your body part known as the biofield. Then you start getting psychic abilities. They're called psionics. Telepathy, empathy, precognition, telekinetics, it's all natural in human bodies. Neurons. And neurons are not only in your brain, they are body-wide. Nobody knows any of that. You're not allowed to talk about any of that. So instead you're told you're a nut job, take drugs, or else you can't talk to anybody who's normal. The Christians will scare the shit out of you, call you evil. There are people that want to wear robes, bleed on the floor, and do stupid shit with the CIA, thinking that they're surfing the astral plane. They end up on the Cisco backplane. And you're like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Well, they're pulling the neurons out of your body just a little bit at a time and loading them into a neuromorphic chipset. How do you think they got such incredible artificial intelligence in the first place? It's your neurons. And they admit they need living neurons to do what they do. Now, this is where a bunch of people get up with me. And they're like, oh, Sabrina, you're being a doom pillar, blah, blah, blah. There's no way they would pull our neurons out of our body, store them in a chipset, and then take our skin and bone, do what they wanted to with it. lock us underground, and then when we think we're being born, they're putting us back into another body somewhere. And everyone goes, ah! And I'm like, listen, the dimension that we live in, they lied to you about how it works with material physics. You think people are going to burn in fire and brimstone, and this is the part of things you can take it or leave it. But what I saw was that people go into a neuromorphic chipset. It's a plasmonic architecture underground. And that makes sense to me because that's one of the reasons so many people throw in with this system that recycles itself. It's not some big secret. These are jobs. So the wireless body area network, you're sitting there, they fly over, you get radiated, you start having psionic abilities, and they continue to perturbate your biofield. They watch your dreams, they record your dreams, and they record everything you're thinking in real time to databases that are using the ubiquitous and the ambient air molecules all around you. Again, well-minded, or I should say healthy people, they're like, that's way too much micromanagement. Yeah, but if you didn't have a body, and you had no way to have a body, and you're running the world and you're obsessed with control, okay? The next thing is if you get a little too radiated and your binomics, your bioinformatics fall out of place or you fall into a liminal space, we can then morph you again with genomics and morphology, transhumanism full on, and turn you into Bigfoot and Wolfman and whatever else. And you can be bilocated, and there's 4D skiffs that they can walk into to be secure from bioweapons. Now, that all sounds nuts, I know. Everybody's like, no, the aliens are here. And I said, no, we make the aliens. And everybody continued to freak out on me. And I'm like, listen, the HemiSync thing, the CIA gateway process, that was you people feeding the databases. You're bleeding over the masters for DNA synchronicity and DNA sequence matching. That's your global information grid for your digital twin. And your string theory is bullshit. But we do have a 4D. There's no multiverse. There's just the Nephilim and everybody else. So, oh, you think that because you're a Christian. No. I think that because that's what I saw with nature spirits and every other type of creature you can possibly imagine. And it was still the same jack-offs who were kidnapping people and doing terrible things. So, for me, I'm like, how is it that you're not telling anybody that you've got their ass on the cloud with 80% of their immune system locked down? Transcranial magnetic stimulation was what they were doing to me, but they told me I had pseudotumor cerebri. Back in the 90s, they said when you could feel the subtle electrocution, there was no such thing back then as electrosensitive because they didn't tell anybody they were subtly electrocuting people. They said, no, you have fibromyalgia, you're just a wuss to pain. No, you don't have, you have pseudotumor cerebri, fake brain tumor. Your brain is acting like it has a tumor, but we don't know why. Well, because you're transcranially magnetically stimulating my brain to swell it and deswell it for metrics testing for non-invasive N3 with DARPA. That's why. And I have a Seraphim, and I was removed from the M3 process, which is MPD and DID. You just put an EEG overlay of personality, just a nanolobotomy, a few neurons at a time, and then we can induce your neurons into an alpha state. When we do that, it causes schizophrenia, but only in certain neural networks. And we use that back in the day in the 80s and 90s to check parity for neuron, neuron, and brain, brain. Now those products and services are commercial. They are available from the Artificial Intelligence Symposium that you can still go read the transcripts for from September 2020. And that's synthetic telepathy and synchron and brain-to-brain interface, which is, in my opinion, why they needed to hurry up and get the newest backbone deployed, because not enough people knew, of course, because it's their personal private system of walking circles around all the good people who are doing their jobs legally. And none of this has legal oversight. All of it is black projects hidden. So that's why I keep getting pissed at people who claim they're going to sue people. I'm like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You either don't know what you're talking about or you're purposely swindling people out of good money because you're not suing anybody.